Well, howdy there, partner. Bel Air here, North America. Open number 4. Raleigh, split 2, open 1 is over, and NRG won it. But they had a good run for their money from this team right here. We're watching Game 7. This is Cheese of Ging point of view against Space Station Gaming. And I kind of want to talk through some notes for a lot of our teams here. I got some stats, some analysis, some thoughts, some breakdowns for you guys. So sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. All right, Ging. So, as of recording this on Tuesday, Justin joined Ging formally 15 days ago, which is crazy. The fact that they were able to get this roster to where they were able to get it to so fast. If you are a friend of the channel, you know that we recently talked to their coach, Raw Greg, on my Need Boost podcast, and he had a lot of great stuff to say, not only about Justin, but about the team environment, how they've been going so far. In the Swiss, they beat SimTalk +1. They beat Na, who actually ended up looking more competitive than I assumed they would. They take down SSG as well. And look at that defensive cut there by Cheese. Why don't you? And Cheese, by the way, before we talk about the groups, just super impressive all weekend long, especially defensively. I was very impressed by him. In the groups, they take down Power Rangers, who were kind of a fun little team. They actually have broken up now that they lost, and that is some poor defense by SSG there, who are going to let an easy one slip away. We're only a minute in here, and there's already 3 goals on the board by Ging. Tough to come back from that one in a Game 7. And then, of course, Ging, the rematch, the grudge match against Shopify Rebellion, they 3-0'd him. It didn't look that close. Ging looked awesome. Shopify looked suboptimal. Playoffs. NRG. It was close. I will say for a 4-1, it was pretty close. It felt like NRG were like in it. They controlled the game for a lot of it, but it looked close until it didn't. They end up winning that final game there with a 9-2 scoreline as NRG just melt defensively. Everything working for Ging there, and it kind of creeps into your mind. Oh my goodness, is this team that good? Are they just gonna like come in and dethrone the best in the world? But of course, that thought is fleeting, not only because of how dominant NRG is and how you don't want to overreact to a single result, but then they quickly turned around. NRG look awesome on Championship Sunday. We'll talk about them here in a second, and they end up just pulverizing Ging in that grand finals there. But let's stick on Ging for a second. Great challenge there by Justin. Magic Bear thinks that's just too easy. I actually don't want to score that. Gotta let them at least, feel like they're in it just for a mental victory. Good guy Magic Bear there as Cheese is coming the opposite direction. Cheese was huge defensively throughout. In the 16 games that he played, he scored in 10 of those 16, which is crazy. A lot of times you look at like goals per game stats and it's like, oh, okay, well, he scored 5 goals here, 3 goals here, and so that kind of helps your average out. No, Cheese is scoring consistently, which is pretty crazy. He was very near a goal per game. I think I clocked him at 0.96 goals per, which is very impressive. And he had a tally, so either a goal or an assist in 14 of 16. So offensively, Cheese is just he's always there. He's always there. Definitely continuing to grow as a player, as he's going to rocket that one the other way defensively. And he had a save in every single game. He had 9 savior medals out of 16 games, and he had 5 saves in 3 of those 16 games. So Cheese just a defensive brick wall. If he's going to keep up this kind of pace of play, we're looking at a very clear number 3 seed in North America. For my money currently, NRG and Ultimates have a little bit of space for those top 2 spots. Ging, number 1 in goals for, number 1 in shots for. They were the only team of the field of 16 who shot above 10 shots per game. Number 2 in save percentage behind NRG. So they're doing it all over the place. They're obviously good. I want to see them in a matchup against Team Ultimates. I think that will be something that'll be intriguing to see. How did NRG hold them to a single goal in that grand finals is something that we're going to discuss a little bit more with NRG in a second. And that's really the book on Gen G here. Very, very impressed. Justin, a great addition. Super fast, more mechanical than what Reddles can offer you. Reddles is still instrumental for his team that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. But early signs show us that this is a very, very solid addition for this Gen G team, who I would be very surprised if they are not in attendance for the Raleigh Major based on the form that they showed in this first event here. Cheese is going to lay down the controller, bring us to the ground, show you the scoreboard. Cheese 222 on 7, almost 700 score for himself to close out that series. Let's move over to another game and then blitz through some of the other teams that we want to talk about. How about we talk about NRG next? Why don't we? Well, I just love Champs Field so much. Why don't we stay here and watch Game 7 between Ultimates and NRG from Daniel point of view? If you saw my top 50 video, I begrudgingly had Daniel third in the world. Right now, I think there's an argument for it. There were arguments against it. I hear you. I hear you. NRG go 9-0 in Swiss. They had an easy group stage there. They take down, I think it was Na or What's Up. I can't recall. Either way, they won that 3-1, and then the boys, unfortunately, Evo had a power outage, so that is a win to their forfeit, and that's how you get into the playoffs if you're NRG there. We already talked about close series till it wasn't against Gen G. Honestly, probably the best possible outcome for NRG to get run over. Results wise, get run over by Gen G, and especially that huge punch in the mouth that was that final 9-2 closeout game there. Beast Mode put up a YouTube video kind of recapping the regional, and he talked about this season. He hasn't felt, the word he used was dominant. He's felt good. He hasn't felt bad, but he hasn't felt dominant in the way that he has been in the past. In this series, he said, flipped the switch for them. And it showed. I mean, they eke out a game, Game 7 against Ultimates, always close. We're watching it here. Sorry for the spoilers. They're going to end up winning this one. And to be honest with you, it could have gone one way or the other. But that's always this series. And then once they got past that, they sent Complexity home in a body bag. They outscored them 14-2 goal differential in that series. And then the grand finals, they have a score differential of 11 goals to 1 there against Gen G to send them home 4-0 to just mow over everyone on that final day. They talked about, Sathu put out a tweet talking about this defensive narrative. I don't think that I'm big enough yet to be a pundit who can drive narratives, which is not the objective. But I've talked about NRG quite a bit, and just to say my piece on it, I think I've maybe I'm incorrect, but I feel like the narrative that I've given with them is that they're an incredible defensive team. Not necessarily that they are a defensive team, but they've been lights out on the defensive end, and furthermore, they've struggled to put the goal or to put the ball in the back of the net here and there. One of, if not the best defenses, number 1 in save percentage from this event, number 1 in goals allowed per game, number 1 in shots allowed per game. So teams just get their water turned off when they play against NRG. Your opportunities are few and far between, and your goals are even fewer. And that goes back to Split 1-2, where they were leaders in all 3 of those categories as well. So they have consistently been the number 1 defensive team in North America, counting-wise. Eye test, I think, informs that a good bit as well, although I will say Ultimates have looked really solid in spurts too. And even at the Birmingham Major, I mean, they weren't allowing anyone to score on them at all. They had those same counting stats, but at the same time, they were only 0.2 goals per game ahead of the last place team in the Healthy Chiefs. So they turned it around offensively. They looked much better. They were running a full octane lineup. which was surprising. I don't know when the last time I saw a really high level team just completely get away from the Fennec, but they were trying to look really, really speedy. It worked out very well against Complexity, and it worked out well against Jinji there as well. So shout out to NRG who are back scoring on all fronts. Daniel finally going to get us going on the board here. Let's speed through a couple of these other teams if we can. Talk about SSG real quick. And then LJ's going to get that kickoff goal right there. You got to be kidding me. SSG, 2 losses to Jinji, lost to Complexity, lost to Team Ultimates, wins over 9 Lives and Team Evo. They're good. They still have stuff to work on. Kofer just turning it into a debris field here with the amount of demos that he was pulling off. Directed tweeted some great stuff about that. And they're gonna figure it out. I was interested to see that I pulled all the game stats for all the players from the playoffs, and out of the 10 lowest, and how on earth does this not go in? You got to be kidding me. This could be a completely different result if that goes in the 99 out of 100 times that it should have. But out of the 20 lowest games where a player spent time on 0 boost, so like, hey, every single game, which ones record a player being on 0 boost the most often? 10 out of the top 20 were Kofer. So he is just always out of fuel there. But it's just kind of a playstyle thing. Look, they still looked fine. I like that team. I think they're the 5th best in North America right now. We're 2 games in. Let's pivot to our 3rd and possibly final game and round out with some rapid fire on some other teams in North America. Game 1 of 9 Lives versus Shopify Rebellion. We're rocking with Chicago here. Let's rip the band-aid off. Let's talk about Shopify. In short, offense doesn't look great. Swiss, they go 3-2. They beat Power Rangers. Did everybody beat Power Rangers? They beat Gas in a close one, and they beat What's Up as well. And excuse me, I misspoke. All of those series went 3-2 in the Swiss, so they're playing everybody close. They got 3-0'd, I think, against Team Evo. Who, look, Evo's one of those teams. If you're not going to show up looking good, they'll give you a contest and maybe beat you. It's the same as a team like Strictly Business. These teams where it's like, look, they're not going to win this whole thing. We're probably not going to see them at the major, but you don't want to play around with them. They're the Orlando Magic equivalent of North America right now, where it's like, God, we know we're going to beat these guys, but really? There's something here with Shopify. Reddles feels like their best option offensively, which I think is a little unnerving. Even though Parth is leading them with like 72% goal participation, I think, and he's their best scoring option. He has the most goals per game. I still feel like Reddles kind of steers the ship here for them. And look at Chicago. Fluid movement, baby. They got to close their shooting gaps, though, is the big thing that stuck out to me as somebody who is not very good at playing Rocket League and is not a coach. This is my sage advice. Take it or leave it. There's a lot of opportunities where they'll put a play on, and then it's like, who's there to finish? Reddles will make something happen in front of the box, and 1, 2, 3 beats. It's like, where's Parth? Shouldn't he be here to finish off this goal? They're 42nd, 43rd, and 45th out of all of our players in the top 16 in shots per game. This team is not getting a lot of shots up, which is fine. Low scoring affairs. But look, 6 shots per game is low. That's 4 less than a team like Genji and NRG. Gotta bump those numbers up in my opinion. They came out flat. We're watching game 1 here. Is it really fair to show what could have been one of the worst games from Shopify here? No. But look, game 1 to start the playoffs, and you're going to get beat 4-0 by 9 Lives. Not a great look, especially when you're boot camping. Not that really changes anything. Huge challenge and finish there by Zenial. But Hawks are played great as well. But still, if we're looking at all of the series, um, they were. Let's look at this series actually against Nine Lives. All three of Shopify Rebellion were plus 40% of the time in the offensive half, but only 4 goals for the series. So, what's that? I'm terrible at math. 2/5 of your time is in the offensive half, which is a lot for a game that's typically participated in. Most teams spend more time in the defensive half or in the midfield. So to be in offense that often and only have 4 goals to show for it, not great there. Complexity. The win against SSG was huge. To get that grudge match win for Frosty is massive. CRR was scoreless against NRG, despite being fifth in goal participation for the event, and number one for what it's worth amongst players who teams who made the playoffs. Rather, the other ones are like Devo and like Hazo and players like that. Um, so to go scoreless for your number one scoring option, you hate to see it. In Swiss, they beat Power Rangers, they beat the boys, and they beat Cobalt, who I sneaky like. Deleted Gaming, 9 Lives, SSG. Frosty brings them a needed edge. I talked about this in the pickup. I think he gives them a little bit of like a we can hang with this team that complexity we're missing from Split One, where they go undefeated until they make it to the playoffs, and then they get run over by the best teams in North America. And I think they have a higher ceiling now than they did with Raise Bull, who just got announced with Corinthians, by the way. Really excited for him. Frosty shot 8 of 59, which is equivalent to 13% for the event. Shooting percentage isn't everything. Daniel's been shooting really, really terribly for a really long time, and Shopify just trying to force the issue here, get something on the board late. So the scoreline ends up looking worse than it was. Frosty, poor shooting percentage, 1 goal, 1 assist versus NRG, but they'll work on that. And the Diaz's interesting comment is nothing. That was a weird interview. Wave Punk would have wanted it back, I think. Frosty, it's his first time talking to Wave post series, so it's all good. And for what it's worth, their coach Oasim went on Reddit afterwards and said, "Hey, we're fine. This is nothing." So let's move on. Team Ultimates, still so good. Could have beat NRG. They're 1-2 by a pretty good bit here in my eyes right now. 9 Lives, I like them. I think Zanil is a little bit of a downgrade, but Hoxer and Chicago still flowing exactly how you like them to. And as I show you the stats from this one, Chicago's going to fill it up, baby. That's my thoughts on North America. Guys, thanks for checking it out. Before you leave me a comment. Let me know. Is there a team or a player or teams or players who you were most intrigued by from Open 1? Who surprised you? What are you looking forward to for Open 5? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, as always, thanks so much for your time. And until next time, take it easy.